Now, the 13th Ministerial Conference of the World Trade Organization commenced on Monday in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. Functioning of the multilateral trading system and charting the future course of the WTO is the agenda of this meeting. Here's more.
At the World Trade Organization's 13th Ministerial Conference at Abu Dhabi, Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala sounded an alarm about the challenges facing the global trading system. While highlighting the system's resilience and recent successes, she emphasized a crucial point: multilateralism is under attack. Okonjo-Iweala acknowledged the rising tide of criticism against open trade and multilateral institutions like the WTO. A study mentioned by the Director General suggests that a lack of global cooperation could lead to a 5% loss in global GDP in the long term.
We know that multilateralism is under attack in many quarters. We know that the open trading system, which I've always termed a global public good, that was created 75 years ago, continues to be questioned in some quarters. And it's not just the WTO, it's the whole multilateral system, the financial institutions. Multilateralism is under attack. And yet, cooperation on trade is vital.
Instead of taking the system for granted, Okonjo-Iweala called for continued efforts to reform and strengthen the multilateral trading system. Okonjo-Iweala expressed optimism regarding MC13, citing the enthusiasm surrounding new accessions and the potential ratification of the Fisheries Subsidies Agreement, which stands to be the quickest in WTO history. This is particularly significant as India advocates for the principles of common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities, proposing a 25-year transition period for developing countries while addressing livelihood and food security concerns for fishermen. With Bureau Inputs, Vinod Kumar's report for DD India from Abu Dhabi.
Let's now take you, in fact, across to DD India's Vinod Kumar in Abu Dhabi for more. Good evening, Vinod. What progress can we expect from the WTO Ministerial when its chief says that multilateralism is under attack and also rings several other alarm bells?
Hi, Gautam. She made a very poignant statement today at the Multilateral Forum, the 13th Ministerial Conference of WTO here in Abu Dhabi. She not only mentioned about WTO, but she also mentioned about other multilateral organizations like ADB, like World Bank, IMF. Everywhere these multilateral institutions are facing a challenge. But despite these challenges, in the global environment, like the war that is happening right now, the Ukraine war, the Israel war, this multilateral trading system has demonstrated a remarkable resilience and continues to function effectively. If you see the statistics, this system of WTO still governs approximately 75% of the world trade, showcasing its enduring relevance and impact. To add to this relevance, today Comoros and Timor-Leste has been added as full-time members of WTO, and 22 more countries are there in the pipeline. At this point, there are only 164 countries in WTO, not the complete members of UN or even members of WTO. Yes, that shows hope, especially for the smaller member countries and the least developed countries. Despite this arduous process of accession, nations are motivated by the benefits and opportunities offered by this multilateral trading system. Having said that, in the long run, nations will only consider their own national interest, especially when it comes to trade. For example, see the case of India. There are many cash crops in India where high tariffs have been made so that cheaper goods, especially the agricultural goods from the Southern American market, won't penetrate, and this will cause a negative impact on our farmers. India is one country, and China, and we have United States. Now, the recent one is European Union, which came with this common tax for import of goods which has carbon emissions with it. It is called the CABM mechanism, which was instituted by the European Union only the last year. India has taken a strong stance against this because if not, India will not take a strong stance. There is a very high likelihood that our exports to the European Union will be affected. So definitely the Indian delegation led by the Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal is set to discuss all these things in the coming days so that multilateralism will stand its test of time without affecting the poor and the marginalized people in the least developing countries.
All right. Now, what are the key objectives for India here in this meeting, and how is it going to, go about achieving these objectives?
See, today was the first day. Today's Indian delegation was led by our Commerce and Industries Minister, and we raised concerns about increasing trade protectionist measures under the guise of environmental protection. India has made a very important point that you are not supposed to mix two different things under one umbrella. WTO is meant for trade. This is not a venue for discussion on environment or gender issues. This comes at the backdrop that yesterday and today there was a fund announced by the WTO Director General, a 50 million fund for empowerment of women who are in the export business. So India's stand comes in this context that these are two different things. Gender and WTO are completely two different things, and India made that point very clear. And India's effort is for greater inclusion of MSMEs and women through digital infrastructure, which is shown by the series of measures that the Indian government has taken for our country. But this should not come at the cost of free trade. That is one main point. Second, prior to this WTO meeting, the consortium of semiconductor industries have put a memorandum to our Prime Minister seeking to eliminate tariffs, seeking to extend the moratorium on the trade of e-commerce and digital goods. So this is going to be a main point of discussion in the coming days here in Abu Dhabi. India advocates for tariffs for certain areas. The third thing is on agriculture. Agriculture has been a long-standing issue in WTO negotiations, especially with the part of subsidies from the 2001 Doha Declaration. That is a long-standing issue, and that is still not resolved. And on this WTO 13th Ministerial Conference, we can expect a agreement on fisheries. Today morning, the DG
yes, there are non-tariff trade barriers that are also of concern to India, where agriculture is concerned.
And India stands for common but differentiated responsibilities. That is the main point India has always been focusing. And even in this 13th Ministerial Conference, that will be the focus, because the polluter should pay and not the countries which are developing.
Yes, true. Let's see how much progress is made there in Abu Dhabi. Thanks a lot for joining us to talk about it, Vinod.